Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Gunnar, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin lead. 1.5 seconds DRS.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back one and all, and welcome to a very exciting edition of PCF2 here at PSGL. We're of course at the final round of the calendar. We've got stories to wrap up, championships to tie over, and the big story of tonight is a 4-way championship title fight. But of course, we're joined in the commentary box by Nathan Richards. How are we doing, mate? Are we excited for what's to come tonight?
I'm ecstatic. I've been here for 7 seasons, and this is by far the race I've been most excited for. We've got a 4-way championship fight, realistically 3-way, and those 3 are separated by 5 points, with Taiko obviously being 14 points back from Mirko Soriano. What a race this could be. We've got teammates in the mix as well to try to help each other out. This could be a brilliant way to kind of end off this game cycle. Of course, as I told yourself earlier, Sappy, the last time we raced here at Kota was in season 32 for F2, and well, that was the last time we had a championship battle that was more than 2 people fighting for it. So Kota has always got something to deliver, and hopefully we can see more of that tonight here in season 36.
Almost as if it was foretold. Say Kota comes around as the season ender, and we have quite the battle on our hands. You can see on screen, folks, 64 points with Mirko Soriano. Very strong early season, but as we've documented and seen, these last few races have not been kind to the Ferrari driver. He's not managed to score any meaningful points, if any points at all, in fact, in the past 3 rounds. So he bowed out in Portugal, he couldn't make it to the end in Baku, and then Brazil was not a favourable track for him either, just outside of the points on that. But still, that early season, 5 out of 6 podiums with 2 wins, that puts him at 64, but you've got some consistency rallying up behind. 3 wins is going to be Reese Linton, with Pepinta following in behind, and on equal footing, despite 1 less win. You've got a couple of second places and a couple of podiums that have certainly been helping them out on the points front. You can see the rest of them on screen. Tycho Hardy technically in this championship fight, but we have yet to see what that will happen to us, because remember, 14 points, that is effectively having to get first and everyone else not being able to score at all, with the exception of maybe Linton and Pepinta grabbing like 8th or a 9th.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it, Sappy? He's absolutely brilliant, and of course these 3 in the top 3 themselves have only not made points 3 times, which just shows their consistency levels over such a long championship. This is of course the 11th round, and 7 out of 10 of them they have made the points, which is brilliant to see. And obviously, of course, Lenny Pepinta having 2 wins, Reese having I think 3, and Mirko having 2, means that Mirko and Lenny are looking to try and do what Reese has done and get themselves 3 wins in this championship. But then again, even though it's only the final round, we know that a lot of drivers know there's nothing to lose. They're going to fight harder. So we could see someone completely new end up on the top step of the podium, or even end up on the podium, which is what I'm sure we're all going to be looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, and that's really where the cards are going to fall. I think everyone knows for a fact that this is the last round, and with that comes a lot of risk. Drivers are going to be going at it. They are going to be going in full guns blazing, 110% push, 110% effort, because everything is on the line tonight. This could be the difference between getting yourselves in versus out of the top 10, top 5, podium, even the championship, as we've seen from that crucial battle at the very, very top. But, of course, we are, as established, we are heading to none other than Circuit of the Americas, last seen season 32, and coming back for an explosive finale here in PCF2. 20 corners, 2 key DRS zones, and the big flashpoints we're going to see, turn 11, turn 12, and then a little bit of a technical challenge, certainly coming up to rear its head in qualifying in that first sector. Oh, I've got to say, my favourite first sector of the actual, well, the entire calendar, really.
Of course, and well, we're starting qualifying, Sappy. I think you might need to ask Louis for a quick invite so you can get yourself in, because I couldn't join unless I had an invite in. But we're heading in towards qualifying now for the start of the final round of the PC F2 Championship. And as we've said before many times, there's a four-way title battle going in towards this round, being obviously Mirko Soriano, Reese Linton, Lenny Pepinta, and Tycho Hardy. Mirko had a around 20-point lead about 5 races ago, until he, unfortunately, didn't score points for the last 3, being Portugal, Baku, and Brazil. In Portugal, he had a bit of contact on the lap 1, and unfortunately DNF'd in the pit lane. Then in Baku, he had a poor quali and had multiple incidents throughout the race. And then in Brazil, he got messed up by a drive-through penalty. But Sappy, I don't know if you're in, but I'm in, and I can see a sodden wet Kota.
Yeah, you might have to grab me in there on that one, mate, because I'm having a little bit of an issue my end. But we are about to get trackside as qualifying is soon to get underway. You hear it from our lovely trackside reporter Richie that it is very wet over at Kota. And a quick look at the constructors' standings, because the constructors' fight is sometimes forgotten about in this whole ordeal. It's one to keep an eye on, sort of in the back burner, and it's one that will certainly see a little bit of a mix-up, because those Alpines have been ruthless. Of course, both of them, P2 and P3 on the driver's front, and that has lent them a very healthy dose of points as we get ourselves in and underway. They're still dealing with a little bit of hiccups. Might need to take a little bit of a quick technical intermission as we see what is going on. Not really sure why the lobby is not behaving as intended.
Hopefully we can get you in shortly. Unfortunately, I don't think can invite. I'll try and send a quick invite over through the game if I can find you in. But this is definitely not the best way to start our fight. I have sent you an invite through the game, so I'm not sure if that comes through your EA or through your Steam. But we have got cars on track now here in Kota. The first one on circuits is going to be Jerry Van Bussel in the Red Bull, heading out first. So try and see what he can do on a set of the wet compound of tyres, which isn't something we've seen that much this season. So it will be interesting to see what the drivers get up to on these wet set of tyres. Normally, you'd be looking around a 130.8 to around a 131.1, but of course that won't happen because it's sodden wet conditions. We're going to be quite far off of the dry pace, and hopefully we can get underway shortly.
Yeah, just dealing with a brief technical restart as the game seems to not be playing ball, and I think that's certainly one of the reasons I'm looking forward to F1 24. I don't know about you folks. I say hopefully a little bit more technical consistency, but we'll be on trackside very shortly. We do thank you for your patience on this one, and we will be very, very soon with you. We've got, of course, our trackside reporter who can give us a little bit of a back-end update, and we will be right back with you in just a moment while we get this resolved. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience, and we are now getting back underway with F1 and with the race itself. There we go. We're back in it, and it's going to be jumping straight trackside. There's going to be a lot of cars going around, and as you see, full wets to the point the extremes are coming out. We don't see the extremes in league racing. This must be serious.
Yeah, indeed. We can see, of course, all the drivers now on their laps, all 18 of them out on the circuit. Of course, the first one being Jerry Van Bussel in the Red Bull here tonight. We'll see what he can do as he works his way around the final few corners. Of course, Leo Lund was meant to be racing here tonight, but unfortunately, his rig has decided to break a few minutes before the race. So unfortunately, he won't be here at all and won't compete in the final race of the PCF2 season. But of course, we do have still 18 other drivers taking part to fight for pole and of course to fight for that win tonight. As we can see, Jerry Van Bussel exits out of the final corner. It will be a 1:48.8 to open up the session. Then we have Kai Pearson, who took a podium last time out in Brazil. We'll see what he can do here in the first part of qualifying. 13 minutes left to go. What can Kai Pearson do as he heads his way through into the final corner now to complete his first lap of the session? It will be a 1:48.3 there, 5/10 separating him and Jerry Van Bussel. There's a few more Sappy heading through up towards the line.
Yeah, Derbycore, 48.1 coming across the line now. You got Holdham, who matched just to the 10th with Van Bussel, but you got Joris Krozen. Tycho Hardy going to be breaking into the 47 barrier as a few more drivers are going to be filing through. His teammate, 48.6, that's Daniel Coyer. One of the Ferraris now going to be coming down. That's Mirko Soriano, championship defender, only goes 5th fastest in the initial lap, 48.5. We're going to see his teammate come up to the line soon, just behind one of the Aston Martins, although very skittish off the back. And we're seeing a lot of drivers have to be uncharacteristically gentle with the cars in order to keep them gripped up. We see that slide again coming from Kamil Stachera is going to be a best a P13 as more drivers are going to be filing through. Klaffenbach 49.3 in the first half, and then Joost is going to be filing into the pits with the last lap coming from Louis Welch, although an invalidation in the first sector is going to see him peel out for now.
Of course, and right now it is Tycho Hardy who's on provisional pole. He's 14 points back off of our championship leader, meaning that Lenny, Mirko and Reese would have to score no points, and Tycho would have to win tonight if he wants to secure his first PCF2 or his first PC championship on the in PSGL. Of course, Soriano, Pinter and Linton are yet to get a championship on PC, but Soriano did have the, I believe, the season 31 PS F1 championship, so he's been used to winning championships here in the past. The others haven't had that opportunity just yet here in PSGL, but those four have the chance to do it here tonight. So currently we can see Linton's in P5, Papinta is in P7 and Soriano is in P8 at the current moment there. 2/10 separating those three right now, and we'll see what they can do as the next part of qualifying gets underway shortly. Around 10 minutes to go here in the session, and Louis Welch, I believe, is on a lap now, heading down towards turn number 12.
Yeah, he's going to be giving it another go. Of course, after his first invalidation, he's learned the limits of the car very quickly, and he's going to have to be very gentle with his throttle and his steering inputs in order to be able to keep that AMR23 under control. A little bit interesting data is that the Alpines dominate 2 of the 3 sectors of the course. So Reese Linton has the best Sector 1 time, and Papinta with the best Sector 3. Tycho Hardy is going to be the driver, that 47.9. A lot of time made up in Sector 2. But let's see, Louis Welch taking a little bit of slip angle to the final few corners here. But there is a Ferrari very close up there. Luckily, sportsmanship being shown keeps it within the lines. But now turn 20, final corner, deep on the brakes. Let it roll through third gear. Not too aggressive on the throttle. And while it isn't exactly on pace, a 50.8, at least he does have a lap on the boards now.
Of course, we can see as well many of the drivers starting a new lap. You can see Jan Hardy currently down in P14 with a 1:49.2. Now looking to go again here as he heads his way through the end of sector number 1. We'll see what he can do at the end of this first sector. He's up by only 29 thousandths of a second. So many improvements needed here for Jan Hardy on this next venture out. Of course, still 2 sectors to go as he heads his way down into turn number 11. We can see as well Mirko Soriano's on a lap. He's heading his way down towards turn number 12 as well, looking to try and jump himself up ahead of Papinta and Linton to get himself into that top 5. Of course, looking strong from Racecrutch, it seems here, sitting technically second to 7th with Joris Lillian, Sergio Reese, Kai and Lenny.
Yeah, strong team formation there. They've all got the pace, and they're all bringing it out on display tonight. As we don't often talk much about the community teams, as big slide coming there from Jan Halliday. But yeah, say the wider teams, the sort of the third party element of that, of course, they get a lot of highlight in the likes of E-Series, and they really get the chance to show their stuff there. But simultaneously, in these lobbies, you can see at a glance, thanks to those team tags, the ones to watch for. And it's a little bit of intel and the kind of competition that you can expect. Like we're seeing some names here that will make themselves and do make themselves right at home in other divisions.
Of course, as we can see, many drivers now on out laps and beginning their laps here. Joost Noordijk out on the circuit, currently without a lap time set in the session, looking to see what he can do in the Haas, of course, taking pole, I think, twice this season so far, but different conditions to where he would have taken pole. Of course, it would have been in the dry on a set of the softs. Here, it's in the wet on a set of the wets. As Louis Welch has, I think, had an incident in the pit lane and has been disqualified.
Yeah,
so,
he was sideways.
Big shame.
He was sideways there, so he had a collision with Camo Stachera. Stachera has been handed the penalty, but Louis was blocking the pit lane. His car was sideways, and he couldn't get it moved in time, so he has been disqualified from this quali session. He is not going to be going for another run, and he's going to be placed dead last in this grid. I wonder if there is a official ruling on that, if such a penalty does occur, but as it stands, he sits P18, and only driver out right now is Joost Noordijk, because the weather has got even worse here. So it would be crazy to continue going for laps because the rain is coming down even harsher. I've got a little tornado symbol on my telemetry display. That's how bad it's going. And while I hope that tornadoes are not a planned feature for F1 24, it would certainly spice up the gameplay. That's one thing for sure.
It would. It definitely would. Yes, it's very bad, isn't it, out there at the moment? Joost Noordijk, he can't get the car through that second sector. He's struggling a lot to get himself even onto the pavement a little bit as he heads his way into turns 19. Unfortunately, does get an invalidation, and we'll be heading back into the pits here. The track, I don't think he's in any means to be able to find improvements at the moment. We've got Julian Klaffenbach at the moment on a lap now, heading his way through in towards turn number 2 here. We'll see if he can try and find something in the first sector, but I don't think he will. He's already, quite far down as he heads his way through into turn number 7 and 8, and we'll see, is he down in his first sector? He's down by nearly half a second here. Lekomsky as well heading through at the end of that first sector. He's up by just over 0.15 of a second, so we'll see if he can try and find something in this lap as he heads his way over the hill into turn 9, and then of course to turn 10 and the braking zone at turn number 11 here. But obviously everyone still in the pit lane at this current point, apart from, I believe, it'll be Jan heading back into the pits, which means everyone is in the pit lane just for now. And our championship fighters are sitting 1st, 5th, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, and
they're actually in reversed order from where they are.
Yeah, to say a little bit of a coincidence, that funny little coinky dink, but looking like it's a little bit of a, we'll say, a sort of send run for the bottom 2 here, with the exception of Noordijk, who had a go and got an invalidation. These two are just trying to get any kind of improvement. Even if it is stormy weather, these extreme wets can still put up with a lot. The main thing that they're seeing right now is just look at the understeer right here. Like coming through some of these corners, especially at the lower speeds where you haven't got aero to work with either, you are dealing with such a low level of grip compared to what these drivers are used to. And that's a tough adjustment period. They can mitigate with setup, but lower grip is still lower grip. So that's where we're seeing them struggle to get some real pace down.
Of course here, but I think Lekomsky is on an improvement here on his lap as he heads his way up towards the line. It will be a 48.4 and pops himself up into P8 there. And
big improvement.
Yeah, very big improvement, isn't it? As Klaffenbach enters back into the pit lanes now to conduct his lap. Currently still down in P16. Haas not having a good day at all here in qualifying. 16th and 17th, with only one of them having a lap time set on the board. And we'll see here what's... Obviously, I presume the drivers will be going back out shortly. We've got around 5 minutes left to go. And obviously, Lekomsky's shown us that you can set a 1:48.4. All those below will have to try and set a time quicker than that if they want to try and improve up in their positions at the moment. I think Mirko Soriano is one driver who should be looking to try and improve on his qualifying position, because at the moment he would only be scoring 2 points, which would mean Reece Linton, I believe, would take the championship tonight. So he's got to try and improve on his qualifying position now. He needs to be ahead of Linton and Papinter, and of course Tiger Hardy. Even though he's on pole, he's in a very still uncomfortable position, because that would mean all those sitting 5th, 5th, 7th, and 9th. The other 3 would have to score no points here tonight for him to even have a chance of trying to take that championship.
Yeah, and of course the maths doesn't exactly work out in his favour in particular, but he's still going to give it his all. He's still going to give it a go, and I think that's the most important thing. We see a lot of drivers in varying different places of the championship, but they're still racers at the end of the day. And not just racers, these are league racers. We're talking development drivers. We are talking esports signings in the making. The best of the best in this level, short of official F1 esports, are here tonight. And that is what matters above all. This is their crucible to show what they're made of, to grab some attention from a lot bigger organizations and a lot bigger teams out there, get into the official track. That's what these kind of things are about. When you get to this level, that is the turning point for many.
Of course, and I think,
Shot
that's
at the dream.
what, that's what they'll be trying tonight. There's some of these drivers here who unfortunately haven't got the chance to be part of one of the official esports team, which I think all these in PCF2 this season have shown they can do it. They might not show it all the time, but they've shown at least in one or two of the races they can fight for a development seat. Some of them have even had pace to try and possibly fight for esports at points in this championship. Of course, when we look at qualifying pole position wise, Lenny Papinter has been he's been very good. He's had 3 poles, which is the most of anyone, of course, and only 5 drivers have taken pole position this season, being Lenny Papinter, Julian Klappenbach, Louis Welch, Joost Noordijk, and Szymon Lekomski. So Mirko Soriano, Sappi, despite being, flying at the start of the season, 5 podiums in 6 races, hasn't even touched the front row this season.
Yeah, and I think that's the wild thing, and it is a testament to the other drivers' ability to put down the pace, the top end on the day. But also, it's a testament in the same light to Soriano in a roundabout way. And while you think that may be backwards, think about it. If he's not starting at the top row, but at least for the first half of the season, he's scoring those points, while there may be a little bit of a mark for consistency, there's certainly something to be said about his racecraft, his ability to manage a race distance. And the big thing with a lot of these organizations is they are signing for the future. They are signing for potential. And what we have on here is a grid of the highest concentration of potential, I'd say, in the league racing scene, full stop. We're on board with Noordijk now as we come up to the end of the first sector and coming into the start of the second. We've just gone past the detection zone. And while we don't have DRS here, it's a useful little marker to sort of gain speed traps here. And Noordijk looking pretty quick on this run. Although we'll have to wait and see what the traps come in for Sector 2, because there is a massive concentration of traffic just a few corners away. He's going to have to really fight to get round all of these cars with no time lost. I think he's very concerned about that.
Yeah, of course. It's definitely
he
not
hasn't
a good...
deployed this lap. Look, his ERS.
Yeah.
I think he knew the traffic he'd be up against, and he hasn't deployed.
So he's warmed up his tyres here, which is a very good strategy from Joost Noordijk. Of course, we saw him coming out of turn 1 when all this train were heading out of turn number 11. So this is very clever here from Noordijk. But the issue he's got is he's now caught up to all these. He's going to try and overtake some of them as they think he's on a lap, I think. So he's played this very, very well, actually, hasn't he, Sappi?
Yeah,
this
cheeky move there. Look at him.
Very good here from Noordijk.
Oh, but yeah, you're going to see the cards fall, abandon, and he's going to have to join the queue like the rest of them as everyone is lining up single file, orderly queue. The British would be proud as we come up to the line here, and they're going to be going proper for a full grid shootout here. Everyone is condensed. Everyone is going for it here. We have just 10 seconds to go because everyone has sort of played the timings. We're going to see a few drivers not make it across the line. Liam Stevens, for instance, he's just going to be coming up to the line. He makes it by a fraction of a second.
And I've got to say, Sappi, the track's getting better. Mirko Soriano is up by 0.4 of a second in that first sector. He's the first one on a lap. Now, you think if the track's getting that much better, this is probably the worst position to be in. Being first, all those behind are going to have better conditions, are going to have better tyres, and also going to have a better track to work with. So here, this might not have been the best play from Mirko Soriano. If the track is getting better and better as these laps get underway, you can see the rain has started to slow down a little bit as we can see Mirko head down in towards turn number 12. What can he do in that second sector here? Will it be an improvement He's up by nearly a second here, Sappy. This is going to be brilliant to the line.
This is going to be brilliant. Think on the flip side as well. Better conditions further back means that you will get more time, but how much more time can you get when the grid is this condensed? You can't exactly overtake them and put yourself offline. So that is going to be the juggling act, and we're going to see some big winners and losers in just a second, but it is going to be quickfire. I'm prepping my breath. I've done my breathing exercises. We're going to try and catch them all in one go, as it's going to be a final shootout to the line here. Immediately, it's going to be fireworks, but Suriano, final corner now, easily eclipsing his previous time. What's it going to be? 47.008 for the current championship leader. Let's see what the rest of them do. Klaverbock into P5. Stachero making it a 1-2 for Ferrari. Jan Halliday immediately going to be splitting the two, as you're going to have Sabrino coming in just across. Kai Pearson is going to be a little bit further down the queue, but you can see Van Bussel, Koya, Nordyke and Klaverbock make it P10 and 11. You've got a few more drivers coming through. Derbacor, Pepinta making it second. Reese Linton taking it to pole. 46.806. Amazing stuff from it there. Last few across the line now, as you can see Pearson down at the bottom making a mistake. Joris Krozen, P14, no improvement. Linton with a surprise pole position, and once again denying our championship leader that top spot.
Ah, look at that. The top three is the top three in the championship. Reese Linton on pole ahead of our championship leader, Mirko Soriano, and then one of the other of the runner-ups being Lenny Pepinta in third position. Then we've got Lilian Debacourt in P4, followed by Sergio Sabrino in the top five. He's best qualifying this season. Then we have Jan Herde in P6, Kamil Stachera in 7th, Joe Van Bussel in P8. Then we have Shimon Lukowski in 9th, and Daniel Koya rounding out the top 10 with a 147.790. Then we have Bradley Holdham in P11, Liam Stevens in 12th, Paul qualifying from Tiger Hardy in P13. His championship hopes are getting even slimmer by the second. Then we have Joris in P14, Julian Klaverbock in 15th, Nordyke in 16th, Pearson 17th, and Louis Welch rounding out the top, the whole of the grid being the top 18, unfortunately, with a DSQ here in this session. And Haas, they looked strong at the start, didn't they, when they put their laps in towards the end, but then you could see the track got better and better, and in the end, unfortunately, they dropped down yet again near to the rear of the field. But what a qualifying that was. Top three in the championship, Sappy. Sit 1, 2 and 3 in the for the starting procedures. This could get messy, couldn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be wild. I have no doubt there's going to be absolute fireworks coming off the line. Those first couple of laps are going to be a mad dash to get into position, to get out of that DRS danger zone, and to get themselves set up for the race strategy. We don't know what the weather could hold, because we're doing a restart of the lobby in order to clear the illegal blocking penalties and the grid changes. Curiously enough, the Alpine in P1, Linton, didn't get a best sector. It was actually Pepinta who get the best sector 3, and then it was Bradley Holdham, and I believe that was let's say one of the Red Bulls in P12 that got the first sector best. So it's a little bit of a spread out, but the consistency across the laps is what got it here. But then of course you've got Linton, Pepinta in first and third, ensnaring that Ferrari in P2, and to say strong starts, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to take a short break, folks. You'll get to hear from one of the brilliant sponsors who support us, so stick right back with us, and we'll be with you in just a moment. There we go, our mics are on. There you go. Welcome back, folks. Of course, you just have GT Omega, the brilliant title sponsor that has been supporting us throughout seasons past and to season 36 to this day. Of course, check them out. Give them some love. Code PSGL for a healthy discount, and also check out our fresh sponsor for recent seasons, Sim Racing Center. Use code PSGL and get a discount there too. Anything to do with setups, training, you name it. All of the games that you know and love from the scene, they are the people to go to as well. So you got your kit, you got your training, you got your setups. What more could you want? Anyway, let's talk qualifying. While we get this lobby reset, let's see what these drivers do. The crazy thing to me is that despite the mad dash at the end, we didn't really see anyone get a major advantage from their positioning in the field. It kind of equaled itself out in a way, but also half a second split 1 through 3. You had a 46.8 from Linton, a 47 flat from Sabrino, and a 47.252 from Pinter. So
Yeah,
it's quite the spread, but at the same time, it was absolute pandemonium throughout the whole session, trying to get those extreme wets working, get the conditions in your favour, and that's why we see everyone doing that sort of processional quali end there with just 10 seconds to go. Liam Stevens, I tip my hat to you for making it across the line in the nick of time, but where do you even begin to break down that quali session?
well, full wet conditions. It just makes it crazy, doesn't it? Every single time you have a full wet quali, you don't really know what to predict, because all these drivers, we know for a fact, they most of the time don't practice at all on the wet tyres. They only do dry practice normally, so it would have been a bit of an unknown, just trying to figure out the track, the braking zones, the confidence in the car, and of course, you know, what setup they're using, because that can also make a big difference in their wet qualifying performance. And of course, we could see, you know, from that qualifying who was looking strongest, and of course it was, as usual, top 3 in the standings. And Mirko, of course, I believe for the first time this season, on the front row, and this is his final chance to try and take this championship. Remember, he was obviously leading by around, I think, 18 to 20 points around 5 rounds ago, until his triple no point finishes, finishing 20th, 18th and 12th over rounds 8 through to 10. So he's got a lot of work to do. It was the exact same back in, I believe, season 34, where he lost out to Jack West in the final round in Abu Dhabi, where he did unfortunately come to contact with a race driver. And well, he's got 2 of them to fight here tonight, so we'll see if his fate with Sergio Serino and his fate with Race continues in this in his PSGL PCF2 campaign. And as we mentioned earlier on, Sappy, the last time we came to Kota in PCF2 was a 3-by total fight between Will Lewis, Ike Bena, and Ishmael Fassi. Now that, you look at that and you think, oh, that must have been ages ago, but it was only around, I think, a year and a half ago, because those 3 have moved on levels since, haven't they?
Yeah, and the battling and the driving sort of skill levels have only gone higher and higher as drivers have been sort of learning the engine, extracting the absolute maximum out of every iteration of the handling model, learning the nuances of the tyres and how different setups affect grip. Each game has its little quirks. Each game has its little tricks and ways that you can extract the maximum performance out of your setup, and be that wet or dry, that's where a good amount of time comes from, investing into learning the game. And I think that's where we see a lot of difference between that of, say, drivers who are in high tiers versus drivers who are in the likes of tier 2, tier 3, because they have invested deeply and invested amount of time into learning all of the nuances of the game, treating it like the proper esport that it is.
Yeah, indeed. It's, I think PSGL, when you kind of take F1 sim racing out the window, PSGL is the pinnacle, isn't it, of F1 esports, isn't it? It's just everyone comes together, everyone joins in, no matter how good you are. Normally, you can get a place in PSGL, which is brilliant to see. And we've seen, of course, many championship fights throughout the other tiers. I was having a look earlier through the standings, and all the way down to around tier 8, tier 9. There's also been some brilliant championship fights all the way through those seasons. I think it was F4, F5, I think F7 as well, all had championship fights taken to the final round. Of course, we have the luxury of being here for F2 and experiencing it from, as many would call them, the stars of tomorrow, the future of F1 sim racing. We can see what they can do. And also those further down as well, Sappy, they get the chance in the future to move up to F2 as well and try and compete. So it's a brilliant thing, isn't it, to see all the drivers trying as hard as they can, even though they're not at the top, even though they're a little bit further down, they still try hard. And I think that is something that we can all definitely appreciate, especially when we come to the end of a game cycle where no one really is happy with the game and they all want to quit it.
Well, it's you've still got the drivers putting their absolute 110% in, and that's a beautiful thing. And it's sort of seeing that dedication be rewarded in places like this. And whether you're just starting out or whether you're a legacy driver from many seasons past, the big thing is being able to have that chance to race, have that chance to go in with like-minded drivers, and just be able to experience what it's like to be in a league race. And I think it's, a mesmerizing thing, and I'm I would be forever grateful. I am forever grateful that these things get to exist at their core, because you very easily could have a situation where they weren't, and where's the progression there? So it's awesome to see, and where we sort of open our hearts for a moment, get very sentimental about the existence of, the league racing scene as a whole. I think it's also important to look at the future, as well as where we've come from, where we've been.
Yeah.
Looking towards F124, of course, looking where PSGL is going to continue well into the future. No plans of stopping anytime soon, can assure you that very much. I am very curious to see what the future brings, because F3 drivers could be knocking at the door of F2. Of course, the champion of the tier below gets a guaranteed spot in the one-up. And we're going to see some new faces and names, as we do every year. We've seen some new faces come into F2, smash it out the park, have their days. We've seen some drivers make rapid progressions. And that's the thing, I think, beyond the game, beyond the changes, that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most. Seeing what talent comes through.
Of course, and I think, one driver who I think has shown that level of progression is Joris Krozen, of course. I think 3 seasons ago, he was racing in F7. He won the championship, he was F6 or F7, won the championship, signed to NLR. And now he's, in Race Clutch, fighting for, well, he's not unfortunately fighting for the championship, but he has done it in other leagues. He's fighting with some of the top guys on the game. So there has been drivers that have shown that level of progression, and of course, we'll see many more do the same next game, Sappy. But I believe we're not too far away from getting in towards the final race of the PSGL PCF2 Season 36 season.
Yeah, we are just moments away from the final 5 red lights of Season 36, and the final 5 red lights for PSGL of F123 too. So it's going to be, let's say, a little bit of a bittersweet moment, I gotta say, because you never want to take a break from this. I feel like it's a bit of an addiction, as the game freaks out and pauses me there right as I'm trying to compliment it. It's things like this we love to do. So I'm very much looking forward to F124, because it means we get back in the seat, back in the saddle. But drivers are just applying their setups. It's dry here in Kota, so there's going to be music to everyone's ears. The transition from wet to dry, though, is going to be a little bit of a curve, I think. A little bit of a curveball for some of the drivers who have primed themselves for the wet.
Indeed, yeah. That's going to be an issue they have to face. If they put a wet setup on there, they're going to have to change it to a dry setup. But hopefully, they've all got a preparation ready, because I don't think they wouldn't.
Yep, and here we go, folks. This is going to be it. This is final 5 red lights. Track is hot here in the US, here in Kota. And immediately, it's going to be the jump coming in for none other than Mirko Soriano. He's going to try and get to the outside as quick as he can. Pepinta's going to jump in to the middle. He's going to make it quite the fight here. Not sure why the spectator menu's joined up. There we go. We're going to see them going immediately side by side. It's going to be Soriano and Pepinta fighting for position and immediately establishing that pressure onto one another. Koya and Hold'em, they're going to keep going at it as well. A little bit further behind, but immediate battling, immediate fight coming out from all of the drivers at the top pack. A little bit of a scuffle further down. Tycho Hardy now dropping to P15. I know you mentioned that his championship hopes were looking a little bit dashed, and it seems to be getting like a rougher and rougher story. Mathematically on the cards, but reality loves to differ.
Of course, and well, strategy-wise, we're looking at hard to medium and soft to medium. If you're on the hard, you're looking to pit around lap 13 to 17, with lap 15 being around your optimal. And then if you're on the soft, you're looking to pit around lap 10 to 13, with around lap 12 being your optimal. As we can see, many moves being made further back there. Joris Krozen into P10 ahead of Bradley Hold'em. Kai Pearce looking to fight with Bradley Hold'em as well for P11, as well as they head round into towards the final few corners on this circuit. Further ahead, we can see Kamil Statra arguing with the Aston Martin of Jan Halliday as they head their way through in towards turn 16, 17 and number 18 as well, with Lekomsky sitting right behind as well, looking to make an attack on the rear of Jan Halliday. And then, of course, at the top, it is still recently to know who leads the race, ahead of Mirko Soriano and Lenny Pepinta in third position, as they all head back down towards turn number 1 for lap 2 of 28.
Yeah, we've got a few trades happening in the mid-pack here, but all eyes are on the top. They're keeping in close proximity. They're all on the same tyres. I think they try to read each other with the soft pick, and of course that is going to mean they roughly have the same cadence. This could actually put both Ferrari and Alpine drivers in a little bit of trouble. They're going to have to make sure they coordinate on the strategy, because a poorly timed pit stop, and even worse, a double stack, could dash any hopes of both a constructors and a drivers going here.
Of course, I think one thing that would ruin the strategy for Lenny Pinto would be a double stack. Would be a safety car, because that would mean he would drop all the way down, or he would have to go around again and probably lose even more time. So that is the last thing here that Lenny Pinto would want, along with, of course, Camel Statra and through Yoris as well in Mercedes. That is the last thing they want here in this race. To say, all head their way down towards turn number 12, and Lilian Delacourt in P4 here, looking for one of his best finishes this season, looking to attack onto the back of the top three there, as Soriano got quite squiggly on the rear of Reese Linton as they went through into turn number 13. Further back as well, we can see Tiger Hardy dropping down more positions, down to P16 here in this race, unfortunately. And of course, he was one looking to fight for the championship. But I can see a message in the chat there from Harvey saying who is in contention. That would be our top three at the moment, being Mirko Soriano on 64 points and Reese and Lenny on 59.
Yeah, let's see where this goes, because for now, say, Statra is under a little bit of pressure from Jan Halliday. He got very close to the back of him there. You see DRS has now been enabled by race control, and now we're going to see a little bit of fireworks at the top end. Of course, that assistive technology is going to make for a lot of positional trades at the top, and that means that Linton, Soriano are both going to have to be a bit more considerate of where they place their cars and where they want to be heading into the pit window. And at least for now, how much they want to pressure for position. ERS is going to be very important as we get to the mid-game.
Yeah, it will. And I think, it's a little bit like a chessboard, isn't it? You've got to put your piece, your car, in the right place at the right time to make anything work. And you do something which, you might be a few millimetres to the left. That could allow someone to make a move, and that could be your race done for then, or maybe a podium or a win. So you've got to make sure you're placing your car in the right positions at all times in a race. With the grid which is so close, with such aggressive and talented drivers, you can't afford to make a mistake, because we can see down towards turn 12 there, they're all closing up, as Soriano did get right close to the rear of Linton, but chose not to make a move in towards the braking zone, as he knew that Pinto wasn't really keen on making a move either. So we could just sit behind and, of course, still have that DRS benefit to continue for the next couple of laps. Of course, those on the soft will pit earlier, probably around 3 or 4 laps earlier than those on the hard tyres. Of course, all of them probably transitioning onto a set of the mediums. I don't think anyone would really go onto a set of the hards, and I don't think anyone would really choose to go onto a set of the softs, of course, unless there's a safety car or some sort of damage that driver gets in the race. But they continue on, Sappy, for that 428, and we'll see when the carnage unfolds, because I'm sure it won't be that far away.
Yeah, and say carnage will follow. Racing aggression is not too uncommon. It's very close to the back. In fact, I think made tiniest bit of contact with the diffuser of Linton there. The Alpine car, of course, feeling immense pressure from the Ferrari to perform, to put on their absolute A game. The thing is here for Soriano, he's got the full battery. He's got DRS at his disposal, but he's not going to overtake. He knows all too well that if he gets that top spot, he's just going to be immediately leapfrogged by Linton again, and Pepinta is not going to make matters any easier. So we saw him stick the nose out. We saw him go for a little bit of an aggressive inside line coming down into turn 12, but then back out. He's establishing that pressure. He's playing those mind games, and we're going to see where that lands him coming into the midpoint of the race. A little bit of trading happening further down. Louis Welch, unfortunately, getting hit with penalty there. His situation has just gone from bad to worse, isn't it? So we got a report that apparently he got tapped in the back heading into the pit lane, and that caused his disqualification.
Of course, and that is the last thing that Louis Welch would have wanted. I saw a message in the chat, and he was quite happy with his qualifying performance, and unfortunately, it went wet, and then, of course, he had a bit of a spin in the pits, and that caused him to not continue any further in the qualifying session. But unfortunately, he has got a 3-second penalty, and he's down in 17th. So a big shame here for Louis Welch, who, of course, took pole, I think, earlier on in this season. So it's a big shame to see him not really fighting for any top positions, as we can see. It's again there for a second. Jan Halliday got right close to the rear of Camel Statra for P6 as they all head down towards turn 1 once again. And the question is, when does Mirko decide to make a move? Because surely it won't be long before Pepinta tries to, put a bit of an edge on the back of the Ferrari. Then he'll be, of course, forced to make a move on Reese Linton. As we can see, Szymon Lekopska there fighting with Halliday into turn 1 and 2 there. And Jan Halliday still defends the position with Joris Krozen, looking for a second to make a move, but he backed out as he knows going through the S's side by side is the last thing you want to do around this circuit.
You're going to lose easily half to even a full second in some cases if you try and fight and go double wide through the S's. It's such a sector dependent on getting that perfect line. So going into any form of combat there between cars is going to be a killer. That being said, though, he's not down for the count yet. You see him going very narrow into the middle there. That is Crozen heading into P8. That is Van Bussel heading into P10, mimicking a similar move on Pearson. Bussel on the hard tyres. He's punching above his weight in terms of compound here because the soft runners are going to be pushing hard. Though at the top end, Soriano's going to be making a pounce and he's going to be going for the first position on lap 5. Just in the last second, goes for a dive and makes it work into 12.
Of course, as we can see, Van Bussel making a move ahead of Lekomsky. I was on board with Klaffenbach, and he broke too late, and I thought for a second he was going to hit the rear of, I believe it was the Williams in towards turn number 12, but luckily he did avoid that car, as we can see there. Bit of contact between Van Bussel and Lekomsky as they went through in towards turn number 16, and it will be Van Bussel into P9 now. It looks like these softs might have hit drop-off already, which is not good when you've only really ran them for 4 laps in a race. So we'll see what can Van Bussel do here in this race. What can he do to try and score some more points? He's 11th in the championship despite being a reserve. He's done a very good job this season so far, as we can still see at the front. It will be Mirko Soriano, who leads ahead of Reece Linton, ahead of Lenny Pepinsa and Lilian Debecourt in the top 4, along with Sergio Serino rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, we see a little bit of a tussle between Lekomsky and Pearson there as they both try their luck. Even with Van Bussel there, they are going to almost make it 3 wide heading into the first corner. In the end, it is going to be Lekomsky who wins out of that little confrontation there. But we'll see, of course, how that plays out, because we're going to see plenty more position swaps as we go. You can see he's immediately under pressure from Klaffenbach in the Haas. He's going to have to go a little bit defensive there, and let's see what he can do. But up at the top, we're going to see DRS come out in just a second. Lekomsky and Pearson continue to swap, but at the front of the field, is Linton going to go for the retake? He's going to go for it. He's going to go narrow, heading into turn 12. Can he confirm it? Is he going to go all the way through? Pepinta is also there. They're going to make it a double Alpine overtake. Currently, 1-2 for the not yellow. What am I saying? For the blue and pink.
So heading to turn number 15, and of course now at this current point, if Mirko was to finish in 3rd and Linton or Pepinta was first, or Pepinta or Linton was first, you know, either of those would get the championship. So that is the key thing that the Alpine pair need to do. They need to keep Soriano in 3rd for one of those two to win the championship. As we can see further back once more contact, more battling. Pearson down to P13 as Joost Noordijk now gets himself into 12th position to try and fight after the rear of his teammate, who's also looking to try and make a move shortly on the back of Szymon Lekomsky for P10. As we can see yet again, no moves being made at the front, and we can see as well Kamil Stachura for a second losing a bit more time than to Sergio Serino through the first couple of corners. We can see Holder making a move ahead of Pearson and Koya making a move ahead of Louis Welch there. That was in defence, and Louis Welch actually went for a move in the S's section there, Sappy.
Yeah, very daring, very risky moves there, but I think Welch has sort of taken a caution to the wind approach. He already expressed his frustration prior to the race, given his DSQ in quali, and now I think it's just about, he's going to make up the positions, he's going to be driving very aggressively, he's going to be going for those opportunities, for those moves. I think Tycho's taking a bit of a similar approach. Of course, P4 in the championship, and he doesn't want things to go out like this, not without a single point in the final round here. So it's going to be a drag race between him and Holden. The Alpine swap places, so they're immediately going to start coordinating with one another. They're going to try and leapfrog each other, keep the pace up, not keep themselves vulnerable to any form of attack from Soriano.
Of course, and a bit of a tap from Holden on the back of Hardy allows Pearson to try and make a move around the outside at turn number 13, gets himself back into a bit of contact as they head their way through. And Holden, despite being down in P15, he's not going to give that position up at all, but unfortunately he has to give it up as they head out at turn 16. Now we can see Klaffenbach on the rear of Lekomsky. These hards have a lot more pace than the softs at this current time, and making a move into turn 19 pushes Lekomsky off circuit. That will be a controversial one indeed, and through goes Joost Noordijk as well to get himself into P11 now on the cusp of getting a points here in tonight's race at Kota, and now it allows Toga Hardy to also try and gain in and make a move ahead of the soft runner of Lekomsky. And then back at the front we can see as well, it still is Pepinta who leads ahead of Linton, ahead of Soriano in 3rd, and then we can see as well Kamil Stachura under pressure from Jan Hardy as they head their way through to the end of that first sector.
Well, we're certainly seeing the hard runners start to make a lot better of their average race pace, because the softs have hit a little bit of a drop-off. I don't think they are in the drop zone completely yet, but they've certainly lost out on their prime. I'd say they're equivalent to mediums, or certainly aging mediums in terms of grip right about now. So they're going to have to think very soon about the longevity of their race distance and how they are going to be managing the swaps. So this goes for the entire top end, of course, going for aggressive moves and going for sort of aero overtakes, getting a little bit of wash there. It is going to impact your tyre life all the same. Tycho Hardy, he's going to be making a move into P12, but is it going to stick with Lekomsky? Of course, he's gone very aggressive in terms of his overtaking strategy in the last couple of laps. He's making it work thus far. Kai Pearson's going to try and follow suit. We might see a lock-in horns again, as we've seen a few drivers in the bottom half of this pack get a little bit too comfortable with the side of each other's tyres and cars.
Of course, yeah, we've seen a little bit of tyre hooking so far, and it's not something we like to see too much, but I know a few drivers are using that as a little bit of their strategy to make positions and to try and defend positions in this race. As we can see, Kai Pearson yet again look to close in on the rear of Lekomsky, who's having a bit of a poor outing here in Kota, hasn't really, got his foot off the mark well at all, and now completely out of the points. And Kai Pearson looking to make a move down to turn one here on the rear of the Williams, gets himself through up the inside and into P13 goes Kai Pearson, and then for a second I saw it looked like it got very close between Linton and Papinta for the lead of the race as they head their way through in towards the end of that first sector. And Soriano in third in a very, very compromising position. He's got 2 race clutches in the lead and 2 of them sitting right behind him with his teammates in P6. So we'll see what the teammates can do with the championship protagonists, what they can do to try and help their teammates win the championship.
Well, the proverbial side eye has been thrown between a few of these drivers, and I know tensions are high going into this one. Certainly in Soriano's case, I know he definitely had some frustration with how last round went. So he may be coming into today with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he still is in the defending position. And as things currently stand, then Soriano is going to be a little bit on the ropes here. So he needs to make a crucial decision. Is he going to hang back and let the Alpine sort of drag the first stint of this race along? Or is he going to go a little bit more aggressive and try and compromise what at the moment is a very strongly established train between the two? They have a rhythm. They swap at turn 11 into turn 12. They keep each other's proximity, but they keep about a second of spacing. Because what very easily could happen here is if Linton goes into the pits at the right time, Soriano could be cut off from the DRS at 11.
Yeah, indeed, and that is the last thing I think that Soriano would want. But, the top 2 here, Papinta and Linton, are a formidable force. They're a force to be reckoned with here in any race, and especially when it's a race for the championship in PCF2. So Soriano's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get himself between the 2 Alpines. But guys, I know there's over 100 of you watching the stream. Let us know in the chat who you think will take the championship here tonight between the top 3, Soriano, Linton and Papinta, and also with Tycho Hardy, who needs to win, and the top 3 need to be out of the points. So remember, there's 4 of them, but realistically, it is between the top 3. So let us know who you think will take the championship here tonight. I was having a chat to a few earlier, and I did see, see most people say that they go for Papinta. They think he's a little bit more laid back, and they think that's why he could be the one to try and win this championship. But we'll see in around 18 laps time, Sappy. It's been a long championship, and we've got 18 laps to go till we see which one of the top 3 will win it. And around 5 races ago, we wouldn't have a thought in the world that Mirko would be trying to fight for it at the end.
Yeah, well, we're also going to see a big test of the mental game and the mental strength and resilience of these drivers. Look at how their performances have gone in terms of consistency. I can see why those would bank on Papinta, because Papinta, even if he didn't have the same rapid first half of season as Soriano, he's kept the rough level of consistency. And compare that to the complete drop in momentum he had in the second half. While he is in the defending position, you can only imagine the immense amount of pressure that he's feeling right now. His teammate is going to be going in now at lap 11 mark. So Stasherer is going to be coming in what looks like onto a set of mediums here, along with Crozen and a few other cars here as they are going to be trading out, making a crucial strategic decision. But think of the pressure that Soriano is placing on himself right now. It's very easy to get enveloped in that. And with the Alpines P1 and P2, to keep a cool head in this situation is going to be immensely challenging for him.
It will. And, you know, he's had to fight many times for a championship. He's had to fight for race wins in many races. And, you know, many times it's not worked out for him. And that is why he'll be, you know, trying even more here tonight to get that championship. Back in season 34, of course, or season 35, it was him fighting for the championship with Jack West. And unfortunately, a bit of contact with Sabrino on the final lap of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix cost him the championship. So he wants to redeem himself. He wants to get himself back onto the position to fight for the championship, back to a position where he can win it and be like, you know, he can say, I've won PSF1, I've also won PCF2. That is something that Mirko Soriano definitely wants. He wants to show to the owners that he can prove that in the future he can fight and maybe try and get himself into PCF1 in the near future. That is what he's trying to do here tonight, to prove himself to many who would have been proved wrong. To many he hopes to prove wrong in PSGL, but we can see now many of them making pit stops. We'll see when the next decide to pit, and it will be, we can see Linton and Soriano pit. Pinter stays out, of course, to stop the double stack, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, let's see where the top runners come out here. Of course, Pinter is going to have a crucial gap that he needs to capitalise on very quickly here, because we're seeing a tale of three races starting to form. The medium runners had their own space for a little bit. The hard runners were 1.4 seconds behind, with Van Bussel and Klaffenbach locking horns and battling, heading out. But let's see. Linton, Soriano, Derbacourt, they're going to be the first three out in this new queue. Ooh. And you're going to see Crozen going for a hail, and it's going to be inserting himself right into the thick of it. He's going to be jumping up into P10, Stachera P11, but Linton is not going to be content with that, has no choice but to back out as Stachera retains the pressure and the optimal line heading into the first sector. But look at this, complete inversion. Soriano now net P4, Linton net P3 as Stachera and Crozen's undercut, they have left themselves in a very good position, and that makes me worry for Pinter and Halliday.
Yep, indeed. That could be a bit compromising, but of course they will have better tyres once they make their pit stops, I presume, on this lap. And of course those on the hards will leave it a little bit longer before they choose to make a stop. But very close to contact there between Stachera and Linton. I think Stachera's words were, well, I'm not going to move, so it's your choice if you want to move or not. Pretty much, and luckily Linton backed out, heading through the S's section as they head down to turn number 12. And now Crozen looking to lead this race and leading it for the first time in this championship tonight in Texas, and we'll see what he can do and see if he can try and fight for a victory here tonight, as we can see as well. Derbacourt, Sabrino all in that train all the way down to the rear, and unfortunately Liam Stevens a little bit out of it in this race. 4 seconds back off the top train. It's not been a good race for him at all. Definitely a race to forget and a championship to forget for the, at the moment, Red Bull driver. As we can see, Pinter and Halliday now make their pit stop.
Yeah, so let's see where Pinter comes out here, as he's going to be joining the queue in just moments. You've got Halliday just behind, but he's going to be dropping out quick, much further back than his teammate currently is. There's going to be a hefty amount. 3 cars split him and his teammate, so that synergy from P1 and 2 unfortunately has dissipated away. I think a lap too late there on the pit strategy that has compromised a lot of our front runners just wanting to retain that track position.
Of course, and we'll see, obviously, once Pinter can catch up to the rear of this pack, we'll see how he can navigate his way through it, because we can see Derbacourt trying to push heavily on the rear of Soriano to try and make a move for himself as he pushes down towards turn 11, makes a send, backs off, nearly goes into the back of the Ferraris. Also, Soriano nearly hits the rear of Linton as they head out of turn 11 down towards turn number 12 once again. Now, battery being used. Derbacourt looking to make a move there. Linton go to the inside. Soriano's going to try and close it as well to make a move ahead of the Alpine. Who will make moves in towards turn 12? It will be Derbacourt who sends it on one, nearly sends it on 2. Contact between Linton and Stachera into turn number 12. And Derbacourt heads himself up into P2. And Stachera still fights to get himself back ahead at the AlphaTauri as they head their way through the end of this second sector. And Soriano looking to try and find a way through as Linton now behind Soriano and gets a move done. Soriano gets pushed off the circuit by Linton. Bit of tyre hooking as they head their way around turn 16. The 2 championship protagonists come into contact as they head their way down to the end of lap 14. It's going to be Linton up the inside, Soriano round the outside as they head their way to the final corner. Happy, we'll see who will be ahead.
Yep, everyone's giving it 110% right now. They do not want to yield an inch. They know what's at stake here. They are not giving any space that does not need to be given here. You can see immediately Pinter putting the pressure on. He has the apex heading into turn 1. Going to go much narrower than Soriano. Blocks him off, coming off of the exit. Can't get the recourse there that he so desperately needs. But look at the back and look at the gaps. Pinter is just shy of a second. So this could have been Let's say a big strategic play, but look,
Sappy,
what's happened?
I think Linton's disconnected. Looks like it's driving in AI. Look how much he's losing.
Oh, no. Look at him. He's down in
Oh.
17th.
He's had an issue.
Linton's gone. Linton is
what a
just
shame.
gone. He's gone from what was such a dominant position to now it's been taken completely out of his hands. 2.5, 2.6, 2.8 seconds. Pepinta's on his own. He cannot rely on his teammate anymore. This is going to be a mono-a-mono fight.
Well, I would have to say, Sappy, he can rely on Joris, Lillian, Sergio and Kai to help him in this championship at this current point. A big shame for Reece Linton. If anyone knows, any of the engineers from Alpine can let us know what happened to him, that would be very appreciated. But it seems like there's been a bit of a disconnection, and I saw that. Coming out of the final corner, he pushed Mirko off the circuit a little bit, and then he just dropped back. He stopped. I thought, oh no, what's going to happen here? And unfortunately, he then just dropped further and further back down the field. But now it's between Pepinta and Soriano. These two looking to fight for their first championships on PC. Obviously, Soriano looking to fight for his second championship overall. Of course, winning the PSF1 championship back in season 31. And we'll see what Camel Satcher can do to try and deny Pepinta from a championship. And, well, of course, it's 5 points separating the two. Meaning, of course, that Pepinta has to outscore Mirko by 6 points in this race.
Yeah, and we're going to have to, unfortunately, wait and see. We just got news that apparently Reece Linton's wheel disconnected. That is the reason for his massive drop in pace, where the game did take over temporarily to re-establish his wheel. So he's back in it now. He has not disconnected from the session, but of course he's down in P18 and behind even Liam Stevens, who had a massive deficit to the field. He might as well be counted as out here, but we'll have to, of course, wait and see. There could still be some disruption. You never know what can happen, because these stages of the race are still early days. It could be a upset happening in the final 10. Let's see what happens. Right now, Hasses are trading places. Koya is on a little bit of a defensive, and simultaneously you can see Derbicore now 2.5 seconds off the hard runners. So these hard runners here, of course, are having to consider their strategy and consider pace management as Hold'em and Welch make a little bit of contact coming through the last couple corners of Sector 3.
Of course, he will see what this front pack can do to try and disrupt all those on the medium tyres as they head their way through in towards the next couple of corners here. Of course, it's Derbicore who has the net race lead, and Joris Crozen who's got net second as they head their way out of the final corner. And these two won championships last season. Obviously, Derbicore, I believe, was the F3 champion and Crozen was the F4 champion. And these two now looking to fight for victory in PCF2 as they head their way down towards turn number 1, of course. Klavenbach, Hold'em and Koyat making their pit stops in this race on lap 16 of 28, and still the top 4 being Nordyke, Hardy, Van Bussel and Welch staying out just for now, and we'll see if that has any part to play in the battle between Lillian, Joris, Camel, Lenny, Mirko. They're all fighting for position here at this current point in the race, and Pepinta would like to be a little bit more further ahead than Soriano in position than he is at the moment, because I think right now that would not secure Pepinta a championship.
Yeah, I think Soriano is playing a little bit of a longer game here, because you can see he's not going hyper-aggressive. He's still keeping some battery in the tank. Of course, keeping the proximity, but notice how he let Pepinta fight with Statura. I think he's leaning on his teammate a little bit, allowing them to tussle just a tad. He's still within the DRS, but he's trying to keep something in the tank there. I think he knows full well that we're going to see a little bit of tussling yet. And more importantly, as long as Pepinta can't make up that +5 deficit, he's still got the championship in hand.
Indeed, there's Pepinta made a move ahead of Derbicore. Bit of battling in towards turn 12 cost many positions. And Derbicore now drops down to net P4 in the race. And Lenny Pepinta now on the charge after Camel Stature. Of course, Lenny needs to finish at least 5th in this race. And that would mean Mirko needs to finish pretty much down in 10th. If that is what Lenny wants. Of course, if Lenny won it, Mirko would have to finish 3rd or lower. So a lot of pressure here on Lenny Pepinta to win tonight in PCF2 to get that championship he's been waiting for a long, long time, and to prove many people wrong, as we can see Nordyke, Hardy, Van Bussel and Welch make their pit stops now on lap 16 or 17 of 28, and they'll, of course, go into a set of the medium tyres. So the top 3, it's Crozen, Statura and Pepinta. 2 race clutches and 1 Ferrari, and then we have Mirko Soriano down in P5, and Tiger Hardy definitely out of the championship fight at this point, down in P14, quite a far way off of the top 5.
Yeah, now we see the true race order. Now that everyone has taken a stop, we can see for real the kind of pace and the kind of positions that drivers are going to be ending up at. Of course, you can see a little bit of battle potentially forming as you... Oh, Soriano, Derbacourt coming together almost in a very big way there. Derbacourt going very sort of narrow to the inside there and making a hefty move. You can see 3 wide up at the top. You've got Stasher up, Pinto, Crozen all going for it. It's going to be the Alpine that goes the narrowest, goes the deepest. Bit of a lockup, but he has the position. Kamil Stasher has nowhere to go in order to counter that and make use of the loss of pace from the RC driver just ahead. So Pepinta has effective lead of the race. Soriano is in P5, and with the current standings, if we were to take things as they are, let's put Pepinta's top.
It would. But Soriano has got a lot of work to do here to get the championship. He's got 3 race clutches, and it's against 2 Ferraris pretty much here in tonight's race. It's going to be a brilliant ending to the championship no matter what. Both drivers deserve it, Pepinta and Soriano, and we'll see who can get it at the final hurdle. Of course, 10 laps to go now in this race. I can see a lot of support in the chat. I can see someone there, Wilson Hughes, supporting Mirko, it seems, as well. So it seems a lot of people egging Mirko on to win the championship tonight in PCFT, but of course Pepinta as well, with many allies on his side for him to win this championship. As we can see, Soriano yet again closing in on the rear of Derbacourt. These two have came to contact many times here in this race. I'm sure it definitely won't be the last time they make contacts when they come down to turn 12 very shortly. And we'll see if Soriano can get the move done, and we'll see if Jan Halliday gets involved. I don't think he's too keen on fighting for the championship at all, but he's just going to try and get the best position he can as he makes the move, possibly into turn 11 here on Soriano.
Yeah, but Jan Halliday's a little bit of a wild card here because, of course, he's not in the same championship fight, but he's still going to be here and he's still going to race. He's a driver who's going to be here saying, well, this isn't my fight, but I still want good points. I still want to get the best I can, so I don't care if you're in a championship battle. I'm going to give you a run for your money. And Soriano, fun fact, I think he did win. Oh, bit of contact there, coming in with Halliday. So a little bit of pressure being set on immediately by the Aston Martin. But apparently he did win PSF1 title here, Soriano, back in Kota, funnily enough. So I don't know if he's a superstitious person or not, but we'll see if he believes in the heart of the cars.
Well, we'll see. It might happen, but at the moment it's not looking that likely, as Pepinta is looking to stretch his lead ahead of Kamil Stasher and to over nearly 8/10 of a second. Remember last week back in Brazil, Lenny Pepinta won by a landslide, won by I think it was 5 seconds in the end. So when he wins by quite a large margin. So we'll see here what Pepinta can do to try and stretch that gap even further from Stasher there. As we can see, Jerry Van Bussel with a 3-second penalty to, well, of course, he's not in any points anyway. He's down in P15, so he's not looking too bright at the moment in this race. As we can see yet again, of course, Jan Halliday is still looking to try and make a move on the rear of Soriano. As we can see, Sabrina as well defending here from Kai Pearson for P7 in this race as they all head their way through in towards turn number 8 and 9. And Tiger Hardy getting close to points here, but unfortunately it won't be enough to try and get that championship. Of course, he is 14 points off the lead, and he would need to win with Soriano and Pepinta not scoring any points here in this race tonight.
Yeah, and I believe doing a little bit of napkin maths here, we could get third with fastest lap or second in order for Soriano to take this one. So the pressure is on. Is absolutely on for this Ferrari. Of course, he's got his teammate in P2 who he can see about coordinating with. He's got less than 10 laps to do it though, so pressure is definitely ramping up, and he's going to have to be feeling the effect sometime soon. Doing very well thus far, but he has got the 2 main drivers, Crozen and Derbacourt. These are the roadblocks currently standing in his way, and I think he needs to focus on setting himself up for those final 5 laps. He's got a little bit in the tank, but is paled in comparison to the ERS storage for the likes of Crozen, for instance.
Of course, as they head their way through in towards the final couple of corners once more, and definitely something they need to avoid, all of them, is penalties. A 3-second penalty here will drop you outside the top 10 pretty much, or it will drop you into where Julian Klaffenbach is, where, which of course is in 10th position. So that is something they need to avoid, the likes of Pepinta and Soriano mainly, of course, to save their championship hopes. A penalty for either of them would probably not give them the chance to get the title tonight. As we can see, Reece Linton there, unfortunately, down in P14. Bit of a shame here for him in this race, but to be fair, he's had a bit of a resurgence. He was down in P18. He's now up into 14th, looking to fight with Jerry Van Bussel. So realistically, for Reece Linton to win the championship, he needs a safety car, doesn't he? That's the smallest thing he needs.
Yeah, that's say at minimum he's going to need a safety car. He's going to need to rein the rest of the field in, and he's got to pray that he gets the start to end all starts back under green flags. I don't know if that's going to happen, but what is going to happen is Welch is going to be adding up to 6 seconds now of track infractions, so he's certainly not going to be making much upwards movement tonight. Let's see how things play out though, as we have still got quite a few cars who are keeping within half a second of each other, sort of measuring each other up and sort of forcing each other into big moves. But they see Taika Hardy going very deep into turn 12. He got overtaken from Nordyke and did try and play defensive, but I think just feeling the pressure, overcooking himself a little bit. And even if he is in this championship fight, technically, it's all but curtains by the looks of things.
Well, if he was defending anything, he must have been defending, it looks like, the paint on the floor, because he was quite far off the circuit down at turn number 12, but he's continuing along now in P12 on the rear of Joost Nordyke, and they're actually catching up well to the rear of that top 10 trend, of course, being the Komsky up to the top, being Lenny Papinta. So we'll see what Nordyke and those behind can do. Of course, being on fresher tyres, they were looking to try and charge through the field and make some key moves in this race to try and score some points tonight, as we can still see, of course, the top 3 being Papinta, Thatcher, Crozen, and then, of course, Dabacourt in P4 and Soriano in 5th at this current point. Pinter would be the champion. So a lot of work is needed to be done here by Soriano to try and, discount Papinta's championship at the moment, as we can see as well. Further back, Klaffenbach on the rear of Pearson. The P8, we'll see if he can try and make a move, because so far, Klaffenbach has been very quick on these newer sets of medium tyres. He goes a little bit deep into turn 11 and nearly takes out the rear of Kai Pearson.
Yeah, getting very dicey there. Some of these mid-pack moves are almost in a similar, if not higher level of push than the front runners. You can see big contact, no, not contact, but big fights coming out. Nearly a big send into the rear. Stature is going to go for it. He's run out of juice, but he's not run out of fighting him. Papinta now down into P2. Crozen had a run on Stature briefly, heading into the second sector. But Stature is having none of it. You can see Derbacourt going very wide, as that is going to be Soriano up into P4. All of a sudden, this race has inverted and gone from relatively calm at the top end to suddenly fireworks. Jan Halliday is going to get involved. He's going to be put Soriano back down into P5. But now, look at the gaps. Keep an eye on those, because Jan Halliday's in the danger zone.
He's indeed. He's definitely going to be scared, isn't he, Jan Halliday? He's got people behind him, people ahead of him fighting for championships. He's going to be rather scared, as we can see. Papinta still stick behind the rear of Stature down towards turn number 1. Of course, we're on lap 22 or 28, 6 laps to go in this race. And at this current point, 2nd and 5th would mean that I think Papinta would still get it by 1 point. So it's close. Every time a position is made, the championship gets closer and closer. And at this point, it would be decided by 1 point in Papinta's favour.
Yeah, and the tightest of margins is going to be the separator here. And of course, you do have the fastest lap point, but that's currently held by Louis Welch, and that doesn't see any signs of moving, because so many drivers are fighting for their own space, let alone fighting for peak pace. That's going to be a bit of an issue for Soriano. Of course, wants to get that little bit of extra security, but he could see his teammate making a bit of disruption here, though he is running out of battery and running out of options. He's on 0. He's lost engine power. That's going to be Crozen on the right, Papinta on the left. Nowhere to go. Big contact between Crozen and Stature there, as he's going to remain fighting for that spot. The two of them come together, side pod to tyre, as they are now empty on both fronts. Big elbows are coming out here.
Indeed, as now we can see Halliday looking to try and get a P3 as he goes round the outside of Joris Crozen in towards turn 16, hangs it all the way around the outside, but Crozen has a bit of better speed in towards the corner, but can he hold the position? No, he can't. Halliday now into P3, looking to get involved, looking to try and get a podium here tonight in Kota, as he heads his way back down to turn 1 now on the rear of Camel Stature, and he's looking to just to part the waves from all those who are fighting for a championship. He wants to fight for his first race win in PCF2 in this season, as they all head up the hill to turn 1. Klaffenbach into P7 ahead of Sabrino. He could also want to try and disrupt this party, as he's on 7 lap old tyres. All those ahead are on 10, 11 and 12 lap old tyres, so he's on a very, very good tie-up to fight with those in that top 6. So still sappy. 5 laps to go this race is far from decided.
Yep, Klavenbach could get quite a bit of disruption in that field. Of course, those younger mediums are going to be a healthy boost to his pace. If he can manage that with some good energy management, he can easily see himself getting right stuck in with the battle for the podiums. Jan Halliday is going to be putting on some immediate pressure. He sprung the trap, and now he's up into the podiums. Is he going to go for P2 down this back straight here? That is the question, because Staturer is still running on empty. Soriano's going to go for it on Crozen here. He's going to be going full push. He's going to make it alongside his teammate as well. And I think Staturer is going to yield. Soriano suddenly goes from P5 to P3. He's going to be fighting off against Crozen. You can see just further back as that's contact between Klavenbach and Derbacore. And maybe the stewards might have to take a look in on that one, because that P7 through to P9 is getting quite dicey.
Indeed it is, and now it is time for Sergio Statura, Sergio Perez, Camel Perez, to get into action and try and defend all those behind him that are P5 down, looking to try and stop Mirko from winning that championship. At the moment, the only one stopping this is Jan Halliday.
Yeah.
He's the one who decides if Mirko wins this championship or not, because if Mirko gets second, he wins it. If he's third, he doesn't, and it will be, of course, Lenny Papinta. So, a lot of work now for all these three in the top three to try and get the championship. And Jan Halliday surely isn't in the best position, because no matter what, he's going to be very hated at the end of this race once he goes into the F2 General.
Yeah, well, I know that he's certainly feeling that pressure on all sides, and I think he may have honestly sprung his trap a little bit too early, because he's played his hand. He's up in P2, but he's now 1.2 seconds, making that 1.3 and 4 away from Papinta. Papinta, of course, doesn't have the DRS advantage, but neither does Jan Halliday now. So Soriano has every right to play it a bit safer, use Statura as a bit of a blocker while he recharges, and then could get P2 to secure this championship.
Indeed, but we're looking now at, well, I'm looking at Julian Klavenbach here, looking to try and get P4. As we can see, Sabrino and Crozen swap around. Mercedes having a good race for once in this championship, now sitting P6 and P7. But Klavenbach is going to be another one to decide this championship here, because look at the speed he's got in the corners. He's on better medium tyres. He's so much quicker here than the Ferraris and the Aston Martin. He goes up the inside into turn 15 to make a move ahead of Stature. A bit of tire hook and a bit of contact as they work their way through. But now Klavenbach is unleashed into P4. What can he do now to try and get himself onto the podium? Hasn't been onto the podium for quite a while in this championship, so he's also hungry to try and fight ahead of Soriano and Halliday for a P2 as they head into the final corner now. Look at the speed here, Sappy, that Klavenbach can carry through the corners compared to those ahead and behind.
Well, he's got massive battery advantage. He's got massive pace advantage on those tyres. He's looking like an absolute weapon here. So Soriano, I would be very worried if I was him. If he can at least get past Jan Halliday, then he can get a little bit of a buffer, but time is running out fast. He needs to get this overtake into 12, otherwise Klavenbach is going to be knocking at that podium door.
He will indeed, as they head their way through the middle set, the end of the first sector, sorry, as they head their way into the middle sets, and it's still Lenny Papinta.
And big snap with Klavenbach though. Big snap on pace. His stature is right back in the fold.
Indeed he is, and can he try and attack though? But the issue he's got is it's 60% battery to 10.
It's gone full burn there, and of course, Soriano is going to be on the ropes. Has a little bit of a safety net in the form of Klavenbach just making a mistake, but he's still going to be closing in rapidly. He's going to keep the nose in on the inside. He is going to back out because he's not quite close enough. Bit of a lock-up there coming from the Haas just behind, but that gap has been closed very rapidly, and that Ferrari is now under immediate pressure. Papinta resting relatively easy with 1.4 seconds clear, but you can see his battery is not doing so healthy either.
Yep, he's got a cool head. He's just sitting where he is at the moment with a 1.3 second lead, just trying to hope that those behind don't get themselves within a second. Remember, we're about to begin lap 26 to 28. The race has gone that quick. We've got 2 laps to go here tonight as Tiger Hardy gets a penalty, and that ruins his championship hopes even more now to pretty much a 0.1% chance of him to win it here tonight as they'll head down towards turn number 1 once more. Soriano on the attack of Halliday. And we'll see if any moves can be made, because we've got Klavenbach looking to gain in here. Nearly taps the back of Soriano, gets a better exit. What can Julian Klavenbach do? Can he try and get himself a podium here tonight as they head their way through the end of, well, in towards the S's section now? He's just trying to push along the gap. It's just over a tenth further back. We can see as well Nordyke into, well, looking to get into P5 here. The Hasses have had a brilliant strategy in this race, haven't they?
Yeah, the Hasses have really turned it around and made it work. That very sort of deep early stint has seemingly played out in the late game massively in their favour. I can see them right now just putting that pace on full display, although it is a bit of a risk and reward because while they have got the pace to lock it in, they haven't necessarily got the track positions just yet, although that is seemingly very close to changing. Soriano on the back of Halliday is going to be going for it. He's going to know that time is running out for him, but Klaffenbach is making it a double. Look at him go. In all of that, sneaking around the Ferrari and going 3 wide, Klaffenbach now sits with 1.1 seconds between him and Pepinta. Is Klaffenbach going to go for the win of this race and upset it all?
He could do, and that would be a big upset in this race because if it was P2 and P3 for Pepinta and Soriano, it would be Soriano who wins the championship. So here, Julian Klaffenbach looking to upset the whole party for race clutch here tonight as he heads his way through into the final corner, and he's within a second here. Klaffenbach is within a second of Lenny Pepinta here. He could be looking to try and take victory tonight. So there's nothing I think that anyone can do to deny Mirko Soriano from this championship. As you know, if Pepinta loses a lead, that's it done for him. He needs to win tonight to get the championship. As we can see moves being made, Sabrino on the rear of Statter for P6 as they head into turn 1. Crozen is on the rear of Hardy to get himself up into P8 as they head their way through to the end of turn number 2 in towards turn 3. They go with Sabrino into P6. Looking to still defend here from the Ferrari.
Statura is not out of fight just yet. He knows that Sabrino is on the ropes and has the 3-second penalty, so the confidence is going to be shaken. He doesn't necessarily need to fight, but he wants to be up there with his teammate, supporting him, helping him out. They're both on the same side, and they need to be working under that remit. Jan Halliday now behind Soriano, but is certainly going to keep it close, keep that proximity. Klaffenbach within half a second. Much stronger tyres, much better on the battery too. He's going to be closing into the lead fast, and that few crucial points, and he's going to go for it here. 27, it's going to be a move into turn 12. He's confirmed it, and Klaffenbach has stolen away the lead of the race from Pepinta, and this could be the death nail for Pepinta's championship, as Soriano now is going to have the points lead if things stand.
It's going to be a tight, what is it? This final lap we go, it'll be Klaffenbach who leads ahead of Pepinta, Soriano in the top 3. At this current point, it's Pepinta who needs to win. Soriano needs to be 3rd if Pepinta wants to win the championship. If Soriano wants to win it, he needs to make sure that Pepinta stays in 2nd, or alternatively, he wins or gets a position over. Lenny Pepinta as Sappy, they go into the final lap of this race. Who will take victory, guys? Let's go on the chat. Who you think will win the championship?
We'll see what they can do here, because remember, Klaffenbach is going to be a victim of 2 DRS zones. Pepinta has closed the gap. Little bit of a slide coming out, slip ankle from Klaffenbach there, but let's see what he can do. Coming into the S's, he can gain a lot of time now that he hasn't got a car in the way. That superior grip is not quite going to be manifesting, though, as Pepinta is going to keep it very close to the back of the Haas, and that second DRS zone is going to be crucial for Pepinta's championship hopes. If he can get that DRS right, then this could be a potentially clutching victory.
It could indeed, as they head down to turn 12 there, and Klaffenbach tries to let through for DRS, and let's see which one of them got DRS down towards turn number 12. I don't think Pepinta did get the DRS here. Pepinta's got DRS. He's looking to take the lead. He's looking to win the championship. There we've got Jan Halliday looking to fight as well for P3, and Klaffenbach to the outside. Can he try and get the move ahead of Pepinta? To the outside goes Klaffenbach. Pepinta keeps it to the inside. He's got the move done at the moment. It will be Pepinta who wins, but Klaffenbach sends it into the final course. Contact, big contact now. And it looks like Soriano is in the position to win the championship. What can Jan Halliday do? What can Pepinta do to get the championship here tonight as they head their way through into the final few corners? And it looks like it will be Soriano who will win it, unless Jan Halliday can make a big move in towards the final couple of corners as they head down in towards turn number 19 and in towards turn 20. It looks like it will be Mirko Soriano who wins the championship in season 36. It's Mirko Soriano. After many seasons trying, he takes it in season 36. A bit of a controversial ending ahead of Pepinta, who will finish in 2nd in the championship there. Well, I think there's many words about that move from Klaffenbach into turn 13.
Yeah, I think that's certainly going to be contested, and I know for a fact that there is going to be tensions in F2 General. But let's not look over there for now. Let's look at the fact that these top drivers have put it all on the line, put it to the very end, and frustratingly, I think whether Klaffenbach gets a penalty or not, gets dropped down the order, is going to decide whether Papinta or Suriano take the championship. Of course, on the track, Suriano has it, but I'm very nervous as for what the stewards are going to come out with.
Well, there we are, and it will be Mirko for now who wins the championship. Of course, it's provisional. We have got, of course, stewards' inquiries to go, but at this point, it will be Suriano who wins it after many, many seasons of trying. He takes it in season 36. I couldn't even get my words out at the final corner because you didn't know who was going to take it. But it will be, of course, Julian Klaffenbach who wins in Texas, starting from 15th on the grid. And Papinta, big shame to lose it at the final couple of corners. He will finish second ahead of our now championship winner, Mirko Suriano, in third in that race. And it will be Jan Herde in P4 with Joost Noordijk in the top 5. And then it will be Dabecourt in P6, followed by Stachera in 7th, Kroos in 8th, Tiger Hardy in 9th, and Sergio Suriano rounding out the points.
Yep, and there you go. You can see everyone else on the field. So Suriano, minor counting error on my part. He is going to be the champion either way. Penalty for Klaffenbach or not, because he got the 1-2 or the 2-3. And that, crucial gap being closed there is going to be massive for him. And there you can see the rest of the field. Holdem, Koya, Lekomsky, Linton. Unfortunate run for him there. Tycho Hardy, he got as well into P9. Shout out to him. But unfortunately, the penalty is going to see him be right on the cusp of those points and not making it work for him tonight. But Linton has had a bad to worse situation going down and eventually recouping to P14. But there you go. Van Bussel, Pearson, Welch and Stevens rounding out your order. I will be honest here. I think that was very optimistic from Klaffenbach. He did place his car and he said, no, you move. But on a little bit of a more optimistic note, I'm very curious to see and listen to some of the reactions, both from the chat here, which we've already sort of seen in plentiful supply, but also from our drivers, because there's going to be emotions running high. And of course, big winners and losers from tonight.
Yep, there will be very, very high emotions in the chat. I'm very, very sure of that indeed. Hopefully we can hear from our top 3 in the race. Papinta, not so sure, but hopefully we can hear from Klaffenbach and Suriano on their words. And, of course, Suriano winning that championship. He tried it in season 34, of course. Came to contact with Sergio Sobrino and lost it. But this season, he will take the championship in season 36 in fine form. It was, well, yeah, I was thinking at one point that Suriano wouldn't get it on the fact of him finishing 20th, 18th and 12th in the last 3 races. But got into this race, all that was through away, and he was absolutely perfect all the way through to the end. And we do have Julian Klaffenbach in the interview room. We'll drag him up for a quick chat. There he is. Julian, welcome in, mate. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, race win, brilliant, well done indeed. Talk us through that race. How did it go for you? Qualifying, quite poor, P15, but in the race you kind of fought through well, and your strategy with you and Joost Noordijk went quite well, didn't it?
Yes, it was awesome. I mean, qualifying, I didn't practice a lot for the race because I just wanted to freestyle this race, and qualifying was not very good at all. We were both pretty much last, and then in the race, we started on the hards just because we knew that many guys in the front are gonna go on soft, and we hoped for some chaos, and actually that happened. Then we just swapped around, me and Joost, and it was brilliant. Then we went to the mediums. I went a lap earlier, which probably got me the win in the end. And then we swapped, and and then I caught up to the train, overtook some guys. It was a bit difficult to get them, but all in all, it was a very good race and a very good strategy from the team.
Indeed, and well, I think I'm going to ask the one question. And what happened at turn 13 now in the final lap?
Actually, I just knew if I stay in front, he will overtake me on the straight, and then I just knew we'll brake later, then get the slipstream for the whole straight, and then he left me a nice room on the outside, maybe a bit too less, but it was fine. And then on the inside, I actually broke as I always do, and he literally just turned in. I was on the apex. I could have made the corner, but he just turned in, and I think maybe he also destroyed his championship chances with this corner, and I can't see where I was wrong in this corner at all. And then it was the last sector. I was a bit shaky, but all was all fine then.
Of course, it was a brilliant race indeed, and I believe your first win of the championship, which is brilliant to see. Unfortunately, it's when we end it, so you can't try and do it once again here in F2. But obviously, you know, it's your first season back in PSGL. How's it gone over? You know, overall, do you think this season?
Actually, I'm very happy as it's the last season and I have had like the least experience of all of the drivers in the league races in general in this game. So very happy to still be at the pace, and yeah, I will just give everything next game. Unfortunately, I couldn't win it this game. I mean, last race Brazil was maybe the reason for it. I just bottled qualifying and that was it. But yeah, I will give everything next game and then hope for the championship in F2.
Of course. Well, that's all from me, mate. So well done indeed. Anything from you, Sappy?
I think you sort of answered my own question there, because I was going to see where your head was at heading into, of course, the next game with F124 on the horizon. But it sounds like you're going all in. All I'm going to say, looking forward to seeing it, mate. Say again, brilliant job on today. Of course, we can talk about the end move, but the reality is you made it work P15 to an eventual P1. So brilliant strategic calls, played the race to great advantage, and you and, say, Joost can both be proud as teammates in Season 36 here. Looking forward to see what you bring next.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one, mate.
Bye-bye.
Right, so I don't think we'll have a word from Mercury. He hasn't popped up in the chat, and he hasn't, unfortunately, joined the waiting room, Sappy. So, unfortunately, we're not going to hear from our championship winner here of Season 36 in PCF2. But what a campaign this has been. And I've got to say yet again, you know, this is going to be one of the best races I've commentated over for a long time. I've been here, 7 seasons? And this was... It was like looking at Abu Dhabi 21, the build up to it. You got 3 drivers fighting for a championship. They've been fighting all season long, and things happen in the race, and everything falls out of place for many. And for many, like Mercury, it all fell into place. But I've got to say, you know, you can sit here all day and think, well, what if this happened? What if that happened? Because the races that, you know, changing that much, you couldn't have called it all. What was going to happen every lap? It was, you know, it was a different driver winning the championship, which is brilliant to see, of course. And we've got Julian, Jan also getting into the mix and disrupting Pepinta and Soriano's championship fight. But of course, you know, a big congratulations to Mirko Soriano, of course, missing out on it a few seasons back due to contact on the last lap. This time it's reversed, and Pepinta got the contact on the final lap. And we'll see what happens afterwards with the shoes, because I'm sure there'll be many reports, not just from what happened on the last lap, but from many laps before, as there was contact galore between that top 10 in the race. And I think in the end it was a brilliant one. And even though it was a bit thingy, respect is given in the chat, obviously in the Discord chat as well. There's no one being mean to each other, which is brilliant to see. It's brilliant to see the respect and the sportsmanship between all. But Sappy, it's been a brilliant one, hasn't it?
It has been a brilliant one. I think tonight has proved 2 things. One, even if you've lost a bit of momentum and even if you're on the ropes, you can still clutch up a season great. And 2, if your opponent is Mirko Soriano, you better pray that Kota's not on the calendar, because he's secured 2 championship titles now at that track, and Kota is sort of becoming a bit of like a, aging like a fine spirit. It's coming out for the special occasions, and tonight was no exception with, of course, a 4-way championship fight. Unfortunate for Hardy, unfortunate for Linton, and then coming down to the wire between Pepinta and Soriano. But amazing driving from everyone in this season, from everyone at PSGL as a whole, because what we've seen throughout this season, whether you are, say, F2, F11, PC, PS, E-Series, or anything else, being a driver in PSGL and having the chance to race and sort of putting on the spectacular displays that we have the pleasure of casting and streaming over, it's a pleasure, it's a privilege. And as we sort of wrap up Season 36 here, I couldn't be more thankful enough to all of the drivers, to all the staff that put these kind of events on, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds for F124. But for now, we say farewell to 23 and we move forward.
Yep. Yeah, and it's weird to say that we'll see you all next game, because obviously we've got, I believe, E-Series tomorrow to round off the championship between Ferrari and Williams. Then Monday, I think we still have the PSTs to go, and then I think after that, that is it for F123. Of course, we've got esports, which will be back in a few weeks as well, and then F123 will be not as big of a fail as it was to F122, because I think we was all happy to see that game go. But I think many of us were a lot happier with F123. I think it's definitely been a better game, and it's that time again when we have to say goodbye to another game cycle. So yet again, thanks guys for joining us this whole game. through at F2. It's been a pleasure to commentate the whole way through the game on PC F2, and I'm sure you'll see us back again next game for some more action. So yet again, thank you all to once again, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.
Yeah. And thank you to you, Nathan, as well. Hopefully we get the iconic duo next season. But
Maybe,
as I say,
maybe.
for now, we'll see you in F124. Goodbye, folks. Thank you all.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. Oldmere is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Oldmere now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Oldmere wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.